ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
I'm back in the saddle again. It's Thursday, May 29th, 2025, returning from a week away in Music City, Tennessee, in time for another Memorial Day weekend, a fun-filled, fish-filled holiday weekend. Hopefully you got some time to enjoy this unofficial start to summer. And again, a solemn prayer again this week to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom and the glory of the United States of America. God bless you and God bless America. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. My thanks to Jenni Ackerman, who did last week's video fishing forecast, and admirably so. A great one. We'll check in with her in just a few minutes as she's celebrating her 100th straight episode here at the Fisherman magazine. Fluke, jumbo stripers, bluefish, black sea bass filling our reports over the weekend and into this shortened week of the Memorial Day week. I've spent all Wednesday trying to go through emailed photos. Tuesday was the correspondence of things that needed to be done and hitting some deadlines. Wednesday was going through all of the photos that I received in emails. And this week, we'll let a sampling of those great photos guide us through this week. You're making the reports here this week, figuring out where to go for the following few days and into this weekend ahead. For a lot of anglers, especially in the Atlantic and Cape May County areas, Sheepshead are officially back in the mix again for summer of 2025. Ryan Sullick of South Jersey Yak Fishing sent this video from Saturday. He said he braved the 25-mile-an-hour winds and ridiculous currents to go scouting for the Sheepshead. Low expectations with big results, Ryan told me. Now, it's cool to see in this video, Ryan is clearly working against that bridge structure, not tying off, of course, to the bridge because that's not allowed, but really getting up there real close. And with that current racing, anchoring would be very difficult in this situation. So yeah, the Minn Kota on a kayak or off the bow of your skiff or center console, that's key to dropping that crab rig jig or crab tip jig to the feeding zone. And then once you hook up, being able to back away from the structure when it comes to fighting the fish. Ryan said he caught several, dropped 4, broke off 2 large ones, noting that those Sheepshead are here early and in good numbers. Now, I would add that Captain Dan Schaefer of Insomniac Guide Service and Bottom Sweeper Jigs, he's one of the first people I know to really target these Sheepshead in South Jersey and created a fishery. He always told me that when the black drum arrive, the Sheepshead are pretty quickly right on those tails. I was going to say heels, actually on those tails. So we're right around where we should be. And especially when you consider the earliness this season of when we first started getting black drum reports in Great Bay, which was late March, early April. Another South Jersey guide taking folks for a little Sheepshead wrangling ride is Captain Scotty Sevens, who had Matthew Lease aboard over the Memorial Day weekend with his brother-in-law Mike and nephew Michael. They caught 10 Sheepshead to 10 pounds, kept 3 of the smaller ones for the table, released the big girls. Now, keep in mind that this is really a burgeoning fishery. Every year we say the same thing, but Sheepshead have really rebounded nicely, and it seems like they're probably spawning locally. I spoke with Captain Qua Win recently. It was at the Striper Quest back in May 15th, was it? And Qua told me that he and some of his friends have done some seining expeditions in recent summers, not this one, in past summers, finding smaller Sheepshead in those seine nets. So clearly, perhaps, I guess, that similar to black drum or striped bass, those Sheepshead and tide runner weakfish, I would say too, that those fish are in our particular area and they're bigger because they happen to be spawning this time of year. So if you're on a good Sheepshead bite, release those bigger fish, those big spawners. Keep a couple of 4 or 5 pounders for the table. But like tog, drum, stripers, spawning here in New Jersey, we got to release the jumbos for the good of the fishery down the road. Now, that was Scotty Sevens, of course, on the cover of the June edition of the Fisherman magazine, by the way. I had a couple of questions about the size of that fluke on the June cover I put in a message to Scotty. He says, I don't remember what the weight is, but it was like 24, 25 inches. So I would assume that that cover of that June edition that you see, probably 5 pounds, maybe 6 pounds based on the length of that fish. But if you turn to the table of contents in the glossy section, here's what you'll find. Maximize your fluke efforts this summer with Captain Scott Newhall. He's a fluke junkie, flounder junkie. He's from Absecon, so he says flounder. There are a dozen must-have flies from Angelo Peluso for the inshore grounds this summer. This spring, summer, and fall. He'll take you through all 3 seasons. Matt Broderick offers up 8 surf combos from budget-friendly to elite, while Dustin Stevens suggests 5 ideal rods for your own coastal kayak clash action. A lot of kayakers getting in the mix right now. We'll talk about that in just a moment. If you're experiencing performance issues, Captain John Raguso walks you through a prop swap that you can do on your own if you've got a small skiff, center console, small skiff tuning with a brand new prop. For anglers in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region exclusively, you've got Captain Jack. He'll get you tight tonight with some bluefin tips. Eric Burnley offers up some of his advice for Delaware summer flounder, which not just in the Lewis Canal or Indian River Inlet, but just as good if you're working the back bays, Ludlam Bay, Great Bay, even up into the Navesink as well. Scott Newhall has a second article in there, has your way back tuna spread all covered. Then there's the Bayside Slam from Nick Honicheski. Great article. All 4 of those species, weakfish, bluefish, striped bass, and fluke. And then a Delaware hat trick from Angelo Peluso. All the bass available along the Delaware River. Again, look for your copy in newsstands, marinas, and tackle shops. I really love the slam idea. It's the perfect time of year for inshore and bay slams. Really adds a little diversity to your catch. In fact, the Ildefonso family had a slammin' Memorial Day weekend. Ellie, Pedro, mom, and dad, striped bass, fluke, wikis, and blues. Awesome. And all from shore this Memorial Day weekend. Other surfcasters checked in with me since the start of the holiday weekend all the way through Wednesday morning. Manny Bouter said the Memorial Day action was a little bit on the slow side in the Stone Harbor surf, but he did manage a 30-inch striper for the table and a handful of bluefish while donning his fisherman hat. God bless you, Manny. Bluefish and striper action is hot in Atlantic City, has been for a while, but so too is the fluking from the jetties. According to reports from One Stop Bait and Tackle, where Noel says, everyone with me now, it's banging. It's always banging. Across the inlet on the Rock in Brigantine, Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle said fishing was good again after the holiday. Reported striped bass were on the feed during the early part of Tuesday, with customers banging the drum by late afternoon on Tuesday. We move farther north, the 18-mile-long barrier island that I called home for so long. The LBI surf action has been solid based on the reports, especially based on the reports that we got this weekend from calling the 3 shops. Jingles in Beach Haven, Fisherman's headquarters in Ship Bottom, and at Surf City Bait and Tackle, where Tim here checked in a fish, looks to be, I think from what Tommy said, a 24-incher from the surf. Tommy at Surf City Bait and Tackle, he said there was an uptick in striped bass reports, very good blue fishing mid-island, but in terms of fluke in the surf, Tommy advised folks to keep it slow. Reason being, water temperatures are still a little on the chilly side, upper 50s through the middle of this week. But Tommy said you got to stick and move to find the pockets of fluke where they are. You might work one little slough. If you don't get any bites, move on to the next one. Find out where those pockets are, be able to move around. And he noted that the one mistake that folks make when fluking in the surf this time of year is it's still a little on the chilly side, so you got to keep it slow. Don't retrieve too fast. With gulp, he said, cast out once your rig is on the bottom, let it sit a bit. Then turn the reel handle once or twice and repeat. The slower, the better. So if you're gunning for some fluke, you might get a little nibble every once in a while. Slow it down. I'm not sure how fast Bev Masunis was moving that bait in the surf at Island Beach State Park a little to the north, but clearly she was bundled up to tackle the Memorial Day surf. That's a 23-incher. Husband Ed said, you just got to get out there when the weather's good or not and make every cast count. Here's a cast that counts. Sun Tao, the Tao of Flies. He fished with Captain Jimmy Frieda aboard Shore Catch Sport Fishing over the holiday weekend, along with Tao's sister-in-law, Rachel and Mike. The crew hit the Shrewsbury Rocks, where Rachel here scored the fish of a lifetime. This is her first ever salty fly fishing experience. She ends up with a 47-incher, over 40 pounds, caught and released. A beautiful fish. Now, I would remind you that in years past, the very best of the striper action along the front beaches at the Jersey Shore would run right up until early July. Seems like we're getting that push of Chesapeake fish earlier in May than we did in years past, and that's no doubt a result of the warming nearshore waters of recent years. Now, I was talking about this with Chuck Manny, Tie Man, back at Striper Quest. He said that he felt that the Chesapeake Run stripers arrived at the Jersey Shore a little earlier than normal. So we wonder if those fish are depositing their eggs on the Chesapeake earlier than in years past, and if that has any impact on the spawning success of the Chesapeake. Hopefully not, because if the stripers let go of their eggs a little earlier than usual this year, let's hope that the cold winter and plenty of rainfall, perhaps some snow, will lead to a good recruitment class. We really need a better year of recruitment down there on the Chesapeake. Now, during the height of the striper run 20 years ago, around this time of year and well into the beginning of July, we'd have bunker busting striper action near shore, right up until the 4th of July. But there are some monsters out there right now, especially central to North Jersey along the coast. If you're on the hunt for a personal best striped bass for catch and release, now is definitely the time. Giglio's and Seabright posted this week of what they called, quote, a significant presence of large striped bass, only about a quarter mile out. On Tuesday of this week, they reported fish exceeding 40 pounds, including a notable 55-pound catch by one customer, and Jenni Ackerman reporting several fish over 40 pounds. Now, the kayak anglers at the Jersey Shore are enjoying an incredible fishery right now. Striped bass, from north to south, south to north, everywhere in between, but also on the fluke grounds as well. Ed Roman emailed me on Saturday morning after a trip on the Shark River fishing the outgoing tide. The bite was on from the minute he dropped his line, limited out by 8:30 a.m. The best fish he got was 21.5 inches. 18 inches is the minimum when you're fishing along the main waters in New Jersey. So 3.5 inches over is still a fish sandwich. Another kayaker, Ronaldo Mall, was out Tuesday, found chilly water temperatures only around 50 degrees. Still able to catch a limit, plenty of short action, he said, noting that the gulp jerk shads were the ticket. And again, that was also in the Shark River area. Morning versus afternoon, incoming versus outgoing. A lot can be said about that, especially when it comes to fluking in the back this time of year. Monday morning in the upper stretches of the Barnegat Bay on the incoming was good for my buddy. Late morning by the time I got up and out, and for a couple of us fishing the afternoon outgoing was not good. Always a challenge. So if you go out in the morning, you got one tide, and you say the bite was terrible, I'm done fluking, you might have missed the opportunity in the afternoon. So sometimes you got to work a little bit. It's similar to what I said about what Tommy said. You're working those patches. So Tommy at Surf City Bait and Tackle said you're working those patches in the surf line to find out where those fish are sitting. Do the same thing when you're drifting in back. If you run over a couple of bites on a long, slow drift, come back out, come back on top, and short drift that again. You got to find where those small pockets of fish are sitting. Remember, kayakers, as paid subscribers to the Fisherman magazine, exclusive members of our Fisherman family, you can enter into our Coastal Kayak Clash. I've seen a few come my way, but right now, the New Englanders are cleaning up in this annual contest. We've got to get on the ball. With those jumbo stripers on the prowl off of Monmouth County waters, the two latest entries in the category of catch and release should be easy to supplant. We're talking about, I think, a 43 and a 45-incher. We've got a better striper fishery right now. Get out there, catch and release, tape those fish out on your kayak, and win that Coastal Kayak Clash. For a tournament updates with details too on our Dreamboat Fishing Challenge as well, we head to our virtual studio with video producer Tim Smith for a look at the leaderboards.
It was a slower week in the Coastal Kayak Clash, but we had some really nice fish hit the board. There was a battle at top of the striped bass category. Tom Howard struck first with a 42.5-incher. Newcomer Mario Santos bested him a day later with a 43-inch fish. Al Green came in to take over the sea bass lead with a 19.75-inch knothead. The top three now look like this. David Doe and Tom Howard are in a virtual tie for second place with 4 points, and Justin Oser holds on to the lead with 6 points. Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash Contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com. Here's the latest from the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. First, we have Long Island subscriber Mark of Southampton, Long Island with a 2.2 porgy weighed in at East End Bait and Tackle, placing Mark 5th in the porgy category. We have from Warwick, Rhode Island, New England subscriber Gregory Brennan weighing in his 2.36 porgy at Quaker Lane Bait and Tackle, landing him 4th in the porgy class. New Jersey subscriber Michael of Brick, New Jersey with the first fluke in the contest, weighed in at Gabriel Tackle at 7.9 pounds. Another entry from East End Bait and Tackle was from Fred Liederman, Long Island subscriber from Hampton Bays with a sea robin of 2.9 pounds, seating him 4th in the sea robin category. The leaderboard now stands like this. Taking first place is Michael McGigan. Placing second is Sean Brownyard. And third is Thomas Luciano. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize. So however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Black sea bass back in play at the Jersey Shore. That continues through June 19th. 10 fish bag, 12.5-inch size limit. Now, as you saw in the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge update with Tim Smith, it's a wide open category. And the head boats, like the Big Jamaica, are having a blast with the knotheads right now. You only have 3 weeks left for this spring regulation with 10 fish. That one fish bycatch allocation begins sometime in July. I think it's July 1st. But again, if you're heading out on the head boats and you are a Fisherman subscriber and you've got a 5-pound black sea bass, tell the mate, don't clean that one, man. I'm taking it back to the tackle shop. If you're in Brielle, maybe you bring it back to the Reel Cedar, Fisherman Supply. If you're in Cape May, you bring it back, take it over to Hands 2 Bait and Tackle. Get that fish weighed in and get it on the Dreamboat leaderboard, because just by having one of the slots on that big leaderboard, you're going to win something. So you're either competing for that Steiger to get all the big fish, but you want to be on that leaderboard to at least walk away with some kind of good gift when that tournament ends in November. Go to the Fisherman magazine, turn to the reports section for a list of all the boats that are sailing this month, because if you've got your own boat, but you're like, I don't really feel like going out to the reefs and wrecks, we just turn to the reports section. It's like a Yellow Pages listing of all the boats, when they're sailing, what they're sailing for. So jump on there. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, you can't join the Coastal Kayak Clash. You can't get involved in the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. My God, it's only $31.95 for the year. You're automatically entered into those tournaments, and then you have full access to the weekly digital editions at the Fisherman magazine at thefisherman.com. Like this week's digital cover shot. I love this photo. Father and son, Bobby and Miles Barringer, enjoying some time in the freshwater in Lacey, making memories and memorializing for the holiday. That's what the headlines were all about. So while many folks were enjoying the full Sunday and Monday off this full weekend, our field editors were making phone calls to tackle shops and charter boat captains, head boat captains, all throughout the region to compile the latest fishing reports that were submitted to thefisherman.com, the email that we sent out on Tuesday. It also features a host of feature stories, news, product review, and calendar events. Online features this week for your reading pleasure include a fly fishing how-to from Mark Sadati, a weedy shallow bass column from New Jersey's own Bruce Litton, inshore focus on shadow lines by Captain Scott Newhall. He's a busy man in this week in the Fisherman magazine, and bluefish come raging back in the surf again in 2025, and Jenni Ackerman is all over it. I mentioned before, Jenni has been with the Fisherman magazine almost 2 years, because if you think about it, 52 weeks a year, that's 104, right? I can add sometimes. But it's the 100th episode consecutive of Open Boat with Jenni Ackerman. This week she takes a little, actually she did not do it last week because she did this week's video. But this is the 100th episode, and this week Jenni takes a look back in appreciation to those of you who have made this such a successful segment week after week.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today is a landmark episode. It is the 100th episode of Open Boat. I'm so happy we made it here. We did it, the 100th episode. I've been doing it every single week except for last week, but that's because I did the video fishing forecast. So you still saw me on your TV, but it has been a blast so far. From sharing fishing stories to talking to you guys at the shows or through our fishing challenges to coming fishing with me, listening in on a seminar that I did, or just learning something new. It's been great. And tomorrow, May 30th, is actually my 2 years with the Fisherman magazine. So I want to thank all you guys for your endless support through the videos and talking to me at the shows, you know, giving me great support with my articles that I write. I appreciate you guys all so very much. And I just wanted to put some clips together from Open Boat episode 1 up to where we're at right now, and we're gonna have more great open boats to come. Hopefully next week I got a little field trip for you guys, weather permitting. That's always the biggest thing, weather permitting, because there's so much stuff I want to do, but unfortunately the weather sometimes doesn't cooperate. But this summer I'm looking forward to a lot of great open boats. And remember guys, Super Flukers Challenge, you got to catch a big fish on a bucktail and send it to me, but we have 3 more parts of the challenge to come, and you have all the way through till fluke season is over. So send me your pictures. You have my email. You know what's up. I want to see those submissions, and we're going to wrap it up when fluke season's over, and we're going to do a winner circle episode. But once again, thank you guys for the endless support. Be sure to drop a comment for the 100th episode, so I know you guys are still here watching, and let's roll some clips.
Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Open Boat with me, Jenni. And today we're going to go sea bass fishing. So come along with me and let's catch them up.
Hello, my name is Tommy. I want to catch a fish yes big.
Nothing beats a topwater bite, especially for bluefish of this size. I had a ton chase this, and I'm going to quickly release this one to get right back into the action.
Yep, bring him right.
Oh, he's a little, oh, there
Yeah!
he is. Yeah! That's a nice one. Oh my gosh. So this has been a ton of fun. You owe me $1. You owe me $1. You owe me $1. Fork it over. This is cool. This is like a lot of people, so thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And this is the first time I'm doing this seminar, which is cool because it goes back to my roots.
Jenni's first ice fish in a long time.
There we go, since high school. I'm old now, that's a long time. Oh my God, let's
That's
go.
awesome.
Once again, guys, thank you. I can't even describe the gratitude I have for such a great fan base and such nice people, you know, like you're all very supportive and I appreciate like meeting you whether I'm out fishing or at the shows and stuff like that and hearing your kind words. So I appreciate all you guys and I will catch you on next week's Open Boat.
Hey, if you're looking for stuff to do this week, this month, page 10 of the June edition, our calendar of events, a lot of stuff coming up during the month of June. A lot of tournaments like the Manhattan Cup next Friday. We'll talk about that in just a couple of moments. A free fishing day next Sunday. So if you don't have your freshwater license, that is written up in there. And then you've got the American Angler Grand Slam Surf Tournament on LBI this weekend. You can read all about that in the June edition of the Fisherman magazine. And I mentioned how good the LBI surf has been through the Memorial Day weekend. So why don't you turn it into a little competition? Get details over at thefisherman.com. It's written in there. And again, June edition of the Fisherman magazine. Stop by any of the LBI tackle shops. They've got brochures up about that American Angler Grand Slam Classic this weekend as well. Catch and release stripers in an urban setting. A look at the inshore and offshore conditions for the weekend. That's about 3 minutes away. But first, let's head west to the mountains with an update from my friend George Schauer, the Pocono outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the weather's finally breaking a little bit. We got a couple more days of rain ahead of us. Little break in the weather today, but guys are certainly out getting some fish in if you look at the boat ramp behind me. You know, a couple things going on. The Delaware River still producing lots of great stripers. We actually had Tim Keebler out taking a day for himself, getting a few of those beautiful striper on the boat, moving up into those shallow waters of the northern Delaware. Some good fish there. Also, we had a couple of guests out getting into some smallmouth and even some walleye, so water temps are still favorable for some of those cooler water fish. Now, up on the Wallenpaupack, the striper continue to be hot as well. Lots of great fishing up there. We had griffin seals out getting into some great striper up on the pack there. He gets out a little bit more in the evening, so the bite's been a little bit better up there. Also down in Beltsville, the action has still been, let's say, I won't say hot, but it's continuing to progress. You know, I think the water temperatures in Beltsville are much cooler than they have been up in Wallenpaupack. The bite is much better in Wallenpaupack right now. I think Beltsville is just so deep, it takes so long to warm up all that water. It's probably several weeks behind the bite you're going to see up in Wallenpaupack. But they're still producing fish here at Beltsville. A few folks out getting some stripers and some smallmouth. They were out with Josh Taylor of Fish Fever Guide Service getting some work done here at Beltsville. Also, we got Tom Gilmore sent this in. His 10-year-old daughter, Trinity, out doing some crappie fishing. The lady bought this beautiful crappie. Trinity was tossing a small swim bait, and this beast doubled her rod over. So a really happy young lady there. Congratulations on a great fish and good work on the net there, Tom. Guys, I hope we're in for some better weather next week. You know, it's just been so chilly and rainy. Pretty unseasonable here in the Pocono area. I think next week, at least what the weathermen are saying, it should start to get more into more seasonal temperatures. Hopefully the fishing picks up a little bit too. Guys, be sure you get out and get on them. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
So down in Delaware this week, Logan Smith caught a 56.2-pound golden tilefish aboard the Blue Betty 2. The folks at Hook 'em and Cook 'em in Rehoboth shared this image. It was caught out at Poor Man's on a deep drop trip. Should become a Delaware state record golden tilefish. Now, in New Jersey, I would remind you the state record has belonged to Dennis Muhlenforth since 2009, a 63-pound, 8-ouncer. That's both a New Jersey state record and a world record. It was caught on the Voyager out of Point Pleasant, captained by the late Captain Jeff. Offshore, some boats have been making the run east for tiles. The Big Jamaica, the Gambler has run a couple of tile trips, I believe, or at least they have some upcoming trips. If you want to load up on that tasty bottom dweller, that is, oh my God, it's about the best tasting fish there is. But folks looking to make it to the edge this weekend might want to give it a shot again next week. Now, according to NOAA Marine Weather, it looks like a little window on Friday, but otherwise they're forecasting a low pressure area developing across the mid-Atlantic Friday into Friday night, and that's how it looks from the Hudson to the Baltimore. 3 to 6 on Friday and Sunday, 5 to 9 on Saturday. No bueno. The inshore marine weather forecast, on the other hand, appears to be a lot more hospitable for folks heading out the inlets on Saturday and Sunday, especially if you're heading along the beaches, just outside the breakers with that west wind blowing. It should be nice and calm outside any beach swells. But, and I've always said this, bunker typically nose up against the wind. So if it's blowing west, those bunker are going to move a little farther inshore. It could provide some beneficial opportunities when things are laying down, maybe a few bunker pods and jumbo bass. Phil Fiorentino of the Tackle Box got himself into some jumbo striper action last week. He emailed me while I was on vacation. He said a magic hour trip somewhere along the North Country waters, Raritan Bay, out front of Sandy Hook, down the beach someplace, I'm not sure. Good size fish. Like I said, it's typically prime time for those jumbo stripers. As the spawners have left the Chesapeake and the Delaware, they're dropping out of the Hudson. They all converge in the New York Bight, right there where the two states, New York and New Jersey, meet, before they slide east out along the south shore of Long Island out into New England water. So hopefully we have another few weeks of some really solid striper action. The benefit of having some cooler, I'd almost say colder, inshore waters of late. Now, next Friday, June 6th, the Manhattan Cup will run out of Jersey City, Liberty Landing Marina. It's a first-class catch and release event with warriors, VIPs, and everyday anglers all competing for the coveted Manhattan Cup trophy. Actually, trophies. There's one cup, but many awards. If a blind squirrel can get an award, look, it is a first-class event. Great food, super people. We're going to be doing another giveaway with Gray Taxidermy for whoever can tag the most fish. That is next Friday at the Manhattan Cup. If you've never fished the Cup, I encourage you to do it at least once. This year, the folks at the Manhattan Cup are introducing the Fish Techie device. I'm going to put the little code up here. You just click on it if you're on YouTube, because we interviewed the folks from Fish Techie this past summer. They've got this little ball. You hold it up next to the fish. It actually uses AI to give you a pretty darn accurate weight of that striped bass. So this year's Manhattan Cup, we're apparently not measuring our fish. We're going to use the Fish Techie ball, and I really think it's going to be the wave of the future in these catch and release striper tournaments. I'm going to have more to report next week after we get a chance to use them. But for folks who've done the Manhattan Cup in the past, and it takes hours to compile all these different prizes. This is the bait division largest striped bass. They've got fly division, artificial division. Then there's the warrior, the VIP. So we're not going to have to spend as much time before the award ceremony compiling statistics, because we're hoping the Fish Techie device is going to do it. If you're thinking of coming out from out of town to fish the Raritan, to fish that great event, and looking for advice, I was fishing with my good friend, Captain Brian Rice at Jersey Devil Sport Fishing recently. He's my teammate in the Manhattan Cup next week. We'll have probably Richie Torres, a veteran, on board, hopefully Clark Harris, long snapper of the Bengals. But I asked Brian to share some advice for next week's event. For folks coming in from out of the area to fish the fabled New York Bight waters, Raritan Bay, and out front of Sandy Hook, Brian did not want to give up his information, but I dragged it out of him. Enjoy this last couple of minutes. I will see you again right here next week at thefisherman.com. We've done pretty well in the last few years. Tell me about that, because what are you doing different than other people in the
I really have to tell them on camera?
Well, you know.
So we started doing the eel thing with the planer boards probably 8 or 9 years ago, and we've got it dialed in pretty good.
The Manny method?
The Manny method, yeah.
It's
Thank
phenomenal.
you, Chuck Manny.
Chuck Manny is...
we adopted that method from down in Virginia. They do it a lot down there, so we started doing it up here, and it's very effective for very large fish.
So the eeling under the planer boards, up on the top, it's been very effective. But for folks coming in from other places that might fish the Cup or fish the Raritan Bay, New York Bight, along the South Shore, Long Island, for example, what would you suggest if you're coming in kind of cold?
Probably live line bunker.
Live line bunker.
You know, live baits if they've got the means to get the bait. Of course, you can't troll.
No troll.
So kind of limited. But I would drift live bait.
And that's the cool thing about the Manhattan Cup too, is you have the top awards. There's awards for veterans. This whole event is to help support veterans. Robert Gill is out there with his crew. We've got a lot of wounded warriors.
Yeah, we've had Richie Torres. He's been on our team for the last 5 or 6 years. He's been fortunate to win it, I think 3 or 4 times in the Warrior Division on our boat. I think we're the only boat that's won the Cup 2 years in a row. Back-to-back years, right? In 2019.
And we had
was the first year we won it.
Bengals long snapper Clark Harris with us.
Clark Harris. Hopefully he'll be still with us.
And it's the cool thing about the tournament is live bait and artificials. So Manhattan Cup, I think it's manhattancup.com, but it's going to be a great event. Brian and I will see you there, I hope.
Yeah.